Yeah, sounds good. We're alright for now.
Yo, mic check. Mic check 1 2. Yo, mic check. Mic check 1 2. Yo, mic check. Mic check 1 2. Can't complain about it really. Can't complain about it really. The fuck?
Isda mga ra! Pwesto pa! Unsa man na? Palit na day! Barato na! 100. 200 ranita na. Oo, sobra pa. 100 na. Pwede na utang mo lang mo sa. Hala! Isda mga ra!
We're going to go live pretty soon. Hello and welcome to another Star Citizen podcast. I am your beautiful, gorgeous, lovely host, Lord Gamer, and I'm also joined by Zinnia. Say hello, Zinnia.
Hello, Zinnia.
Perfect. I want to talk a bit about Alpha 4.2 being sort of like in release candidate mode, probably going to go live pretty soon. We've got Alien Week, we've got the Prowler utility, there's some flight model update stuff I want to talk about, and I was able to attend the Bar Citizen in Manchester over the weekend, so I want to talk a bit about that. How are you? How are you doing, Zin?
I'm all right, mate. Thanks for
All
asking.
right, new
How
Star
are you?
Citizen update. Let's see what it's about.
You were heavily requested at the Bar Citizen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Unfortunately,
I'm hoping they'll
it
release some
happened
news about the
the
Perseus.
weekend or the weekend of my partner's birthday. So
Yeah.
I went
yeah.
to the last two Bar Citizens, and I was like, probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So the International Bar Citizen one, the one that's sort of in June, is unfortunately around that time every year. But I like going to these where we can. There's likely going to be a load of notes coming out from a variety of other people I was there with, because there were lots of questions asked to the devs there. Niku and Freya, the community people that do a load of the CIG community stuff, they were absolutely fantastic there. It was nice to see Disco and people as well. But Chris Roberts turned up, which was pretty cool. And he just came over to me and started chatting to me. I hadn't realised it was him to start with.
Wait, is he talking about recently?
Chatting to a couple of other, sort of like a few other people. And then sort of just look up and Chris is there. Like, oh, amazing that he's here. I chatted to him for a little bit, but I didn't want to overly monopolise his time. But he's genuinely excited for Squadron 42. He thinks this is going to be sort of like an amazing thing. And I love the fact that I was talking to him about his magnum opus of a game. And he was like, no, I want to do more great things as well. So that was sort of, it was cool to talk to him. I was slightly fanboying. Yeah, you didn't get the joy of a Bar Citizens in. I did.
No, sorry.
That's okay. We'll make you come to the next one. Question mark. It depends on they are. So there's some like watch parties and stuff for CitizenCon which you might attend, but obviously this year's CitizenCon is going to be a virtual event. Maybe we'll attend a watch party. I know there's some pretty cool ones going on, but maybe we'll just cover it from the safety and comfort of our own homes. I did want to talk about a couple of things that I talked to people about at the Bar Citizen now before I go through my notes and see what's okay to talk about. So the reason I say that is I treat anything Bar Citizen related where there's devs and alcohol and me and alcohol all combining as NDA, like it's Eva Carty build almost, just in case someone has misspoken, I've misunderstood or misheard whatever, or it's like, no, that would get me in a load of trouble. Some things I think I can say. Mission team, there's obviously work going on to 4.2.1 stuff, the next major patch after this one. Apparently that has mission stuff for everyone, and a lot of people are going to be very happy with that, because I was asking about, is there going to be stuff for PvE and PvP players? Is there going to be stuff for all levels of player, be they economic, be they industrial, be they combat? And they went, we're planning stuff for everyone in this patch, and a lot of people are going to be happy. So, okay, cool. I talked to the economy team a lot. I talked to one of the guys that made the effort versus reward system. He's working on player-to-player economy stuff at the moment. So
Like trading and things.
So, from what I will say here...
An auction house?
He specifically mentioned player-to-player. I said, is it player trading? Is it auction house? Is it some way of...
Auction
market
house,
whatever,
dude. Come
anyway.
on, bro.
So, potentially come in stages, and they're working on player-to-player trading with the greatest star sim in mind for the dynamic economy. So the dynamic economy is coming. They've got to do a lot of it manually at the moment, which isn't ideal, but there's a lot of people working on, well, I say there's some good people working on that dynamic economy, and yeah, there were 3...
Dude, they need to put an auction house in. If they could reduce the weapons that you could purchase,
Tangible in my notes before I just talk about anything more.
I don't know how that would do
One
it.
of the major things that I learnt was happy devs. So this is just in big letters on my book, which is clearly written by a dev when I was chatting to him who stole my book. It just says happy devs, fun games equal money. A lot of the time I was talking about how do they balance what they want to get into as devs with the marketing team and them pushing to make money from each of the sort of monthly patches and the ship releases and stuff. So hopefully I'll be able to get some of this down in a dedicated video, and we'll talk about it later. There's also other people that had a load of different notes on different things that was said, so I will compile it all together into a video. But typically that will be seen a bit rumory because it wasn't said by CIG in an official capacity. Zin.
Yeah.
Alpha 4.2 stuff.
Yeah.
Release Candidate 1 that went out over the weekend. and basically they've said today they'll put out another release candidate if needed. Today or tomorrow, most likely. There's a planned release for 4.2.0 this week to live. Are you expecting that? Is that that sounds right to me, or how?
I think that's what I said last week, wasn't it? And
I
it'll
think
probably
so
be
as well.
this week.
Yeah. So that looks to be the case. The patch is looking pretty good at the moment. So there are problems with the live server degradation, which hopefully, when they deploy this, we won't have the same issues. I think that's probably the main worry there. And there's lots of other random bugs and other things that hopefully CIG will fix before 4.2 goes live as well. I'm pretty excited. One of the other things I was talking to a lady of the team about were like them getting the sandworms in and stuff for this patch, and they were they're glad that people, the backers, are hopeful and excited about the patches now, and know that they might throw some curveballs. That they're always able to, especially now with the monthly patch cadence, keep on pushing the excitement and sort of like to keep on moving to the next level with the sort of releases as they build towards finishing off a load of systems and a more dynamic mission system and the Star Sim stuff with the economy. Are you excited for 4.2, Zin?
A little.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just want to fight that sandworm, the Apex one.
Cool. We've been invited by a few orgs to come and join them doing it, so we'll. The problem is we're going to want to fight it and film it, but we could do the both at the same time. So this is actually something that I thought was interesting, and I want to ask your opinion on. So things like I don't think the Hornet Mark IIs or the Guardians are currently available in in-game shops.
Right.
They're available in-game to get, and if you bought them for real money, but you can't sort of buy them with credits. They're obtainable for like via Wicklow or via the Executive Hangar stuff during contested zones and other activities. Do you think that is a viable and fair and sensible way of getting some ships in the game now?
So these are ships you cannot buy with.
Yeah, I think so.
You can't go onto the website.
Yeah, I like different ships being attainable different ways, and only those ways.
Occasionally.
So they're time limited sales with a lot of ships for Star Citizen. Time limited sales. They sell them during like the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo or the Fleet Week, but they're not available all the time.
Okay.
And these ones, they've been released. They're flyable, and typically after 3 months or so, they become available in game shops as well, so you can buy them with Alpha UBC. But some of these ships appear that CIG are going, they're available in game to do via Wicklow quest chains or bringing stuff to Wicklow or doing the Executive Hangar stuff or whatever. Do you think that's a good and sensible system? Do you think that's actually no? I want to be able to buy it with in-game money.
I think they should have both.
Yeah.
Like if they want them to be a bit more harder, then make them more expensive in-game shops. But yeah, why not have them as rewards for difficult quests as well? Yeah,
both make sense, right? And like you can give the ones that are part of quest chains or whatever, like they do with the Executive Hangars and Wicklows and stuff, give them military components and like these high-tier components. What I need is, I'm fine with it not being sold for Alpha UEC in shops. I mean, I'd like it to be available somewhere, but what I want is player-to-player trading. As soon as we've got trade, then you will be able to buy these from other people still. And that's what I want from the ICTs and stuff like that as well, right? If you're going to have them in game and you might not be selling them for credits in game from ship shops or whatever, then I want to be able to buy them from other players. Alien Week.
Yes.
You seen the Prowler utilities in?
Yeah, I had a quick watch of the behind the ships or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, that is what it's called. So Alien Week, there's a alien ship sale on as well, so a little bit different from Fleet Week. Typically no alien ships at Fleet Week. Occasionally some high.
I thought the Alien Week sucked this week.
Prowler, it shares
the Prowler sucks. I mean, I guess it looks alright.
It's got smaller,
but there's no new alien ships really that I like.
It goes, I am a cargo ship, but I'm stealthy and I can sort of swoop in, grab some cargo, and get out before anyone's
Damn.
Very quickly and easily. I thought it was pretty cool as a ship. It is a lot cheaper than the normal Prowler. I did see a lot of people complaining that it hasn't got enough firepower on it because the sort of marketing suggests that it's got quite high firepower for what it is, but it has dropped its size 5 weapons to size 4 weapons. Do you think actually that makes sense because it's a cargo ship? It is a lot cheaper for real money, so hopefully that'll translate into game it being a lot cheaper. What do you think? Do you think this is a good ship, bad ship? poorly marketed.
I mean, I don't know. So what are the main differences, really?
Its central jump seats have been removed. It's still got 3 jump seats available, but not in the central section.
Well, I would think they're probably not jump seats. They're more so for the people who are going to be hauling the cargo.
Yes, but you could also run it as like a more aggressive pirate vessel.
Yeah.
Because it's still got the air shields in certain sections of the ship as well. So you'd sort of open up its belly, fly down to like a Pulse C or something in space, and literally those people run out and grab cargo off it. So it's got central cargo pod instead that opens up. It's got I think it's size 2 tractor beam as well for managing cargo. It's still stealthy, whatever, but it's got smaller weaponry under its wings, size 4s rather than size 5s.
I mean, I think it's cool. For me, that's a ship I'd be more interested in than the other one.
A proudly. That's right. Plan's going to work. It's not a huge difference in the way that you'd think, because they talked about a while ago making it less binary and actually work for getting it to come to.
It'll maybe go to.
Really want to do this part of the game. And someone said to me they have no loyalty to CIG or the game. They just love working there, which is why they stay there. I was like, okay. It's some interesting conversations. Get a better job, and some are there because almost everyone I talk. This new, it does really help. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great June. Please check out the rest of the videos on the channel as well.
No, I'm good.
These houses are going to start building up and taking the pathways. All these fuckers. Oh, I hate that. I hate that.
Yeah, I was wondering about this ship. I want to see them talk about it.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And today I want to take a closer look at the G'tak Raylan. Crew quarters, you have these kind of bedroom pods here with the levitating beds from above.
Where's the cargo?
And you can look at different features above. This is a difference. So we do this a little bit. Instead of bespoke cargo pods, do a cargo grid kind of like the Hull C. Where it's
On the
kind of like,
on the outside.
a flat surface that you can attach. But 20S transforms. These are the.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling this ship really.
As at the front here, so
I'm not feeling it, boys.
Hey, let's go. Hello. It fools me every time.
Well, this is huge news for Tesla, and when I first saw this, my jaw actually dropped. I was seriously not expecting this, and I was so surprised. In red, you can see the area that Waymo serves in Austin, and in yellow, you can see the area that Tesla is going to serve in Austin. I thought Tesla would start with a tiny area, maybe 10 times smaller than what Waymo is currently serving in Austin, because Tesla is only going to start with 10 robotaxis. So I'm genuinely flabbergasted seeing this. And Farzad is right here. The speed which Tesla expands to this area will dictate how quickly they displace Uber, Lyft, and Waymo. Tesla's tech is uniquely positioned to drive in areas that traditional self-driving cars cannot, due to the high cost requirements of HD maps and the sensor suite, which is one reason why Tesla is able to start with such a big area in the first place, because there are no HD maps. In addition, larger service areas will increase with fleet size, which will reduce estimated arrival times and costs. It's going to be fascinating to watch this. You know, to me, this news sounds so crazy that I have to triple check. Is this really true? The source of this is the Texas Autonomous Vehicle website, so this is pretty legit. Now, Bradford is saying, yes, Tesla's coverage area will not effectively be one, but no, it's prices and wait time. Elon posted this. I'm increasingly confident that Grok 3.5 will be the smartest AI by a significant margin. Oh, so Elon Musk just took another.
Guys, we're gonna have to start checking out Grok, man. I use ChatGPT right now.
He says it's the worst newspaper.
But
if there's one newspaper that should be pro-capitalist, it's the one.
you know, I may start using Grok. Yeah, Squadron 42 rewards.
The latter half being potential spoilers and rumours for the Prowler variants and some new referral bonuses with that new referral ladder coming July 1st. This first part though is going to be about issues with the live servers that have turned up even more so frequently, a Alpha 4.2 patch update, as well as some questions being gathered for a Star Citizen Live on vehicle flight and balance. Issues with the live servers and services. So there seems to be an issue with some of the Star Citizen servers and services, even more than previously over the last couple of days. Players getting kicked out, not being able to join servers, infinite loading just happens a lot more frequently. CIG had recently talked about server woes in a Spectrum.
Alright, let's get the game going.
The ways they were addressing that and some of the problems that they are currently going to be having with the game as they try to make it more playable and as they build on their server meshing tech. Why could this be happening more frequently now? Well, this could be due to server maintenance, preparation for Alpha 4.2 going live relatively soon, moving more servers over to the PTU, general server changes, them trying to change out different regions and stuff like that, testing, bugs, server degradation. A load of stuff could be happening here, and in fact, a load of stuff together, not in isolation. The RSI server page normally tracks issues like these.
Okay, everything dropped in today.
Everything is fine. I've seen a load of people posting they can't access like forums and other elements of the RSI services. A lot of players in the live build of 4.1.1 not having a great time, and this could be a reason why CIG looked to have 4.2 targeted for live next week rather than this week most likely, but we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, that's a good point. Alpha 4.2.0 when? So CIG recently said with Alpha 4.2 Stormbreaker nearing the finish line and ready to bring the thunder next week. That seems to suggest to me that it's live next week, although it could be changed. I was going to say they'd activate Stormbreaker the week after, maybe release this week, but Stormbreaker is sort of a sandbox activity rather than an event. It's not sort of something they'll turn on and off. It's going to permanently be in game as far as I understand. Maybe 4.2 will come this week if it's ready. It is possible, right? Talking about Alpha 4.2, we've got the patch notes of the latest build.
Give me some good patch notes, man.
Freight elevators to the Lazarus location, allowing for the transfer of goods from near the Apex Valakar to outside at the transit facility. That's really cool. You are able to put loot in there and then pick it up later with an actual ship rather than having to faff around with it too much. There's some more ASD location AI pathing polish. They've also polished the Apex Valakar arena area. There's been some feature updates as well. They've adjusted excessive Polaris ground turbulence. They've added missing C8 Pisces armor damage reduction modifiers. Their new spawn closet subsumption logic is here to pause and reset auto spawn tasks. This will help limit locations to the amount of FPS AI that are supposed to be in the area. So if you've noticed huge amounts of AI spawning and gathering up, this should help counter that. Zin was complaining the other day that there was just too many FPS NPCs at the Pyro 1 facilities. Further server performance optimizations have been made as well. So there's a load of fixes for crashes and Stormbreaker, but there's still a variety of known issues such as target locks, quantum traveling issues, problems with cargo and UIs, some annoying audio ones as well with ammo repooling and heart monitor beeping. They're getting 4.2 ready for release. It is looking quite close to a release candidate. I don't think the PTU servers are being affected in the same way the live servers are by the issues that are happening at the moment, but tell me in the comments below if I'm incorrect about that, or if you're having a terrible time with 4.2, a terrible time with 4.1.
All right, boys, we're in.
On the live servers, whatever. As part of Alien Week, there's going to be a Star Citizen live on Thursday.
Speaking of Alien Week, I'm going to be
this is
checking out the
Star
new
Citizen
Alien
live on
ships.
Vehicle Flight and Balance, which is really cool because this is going to be a pretty popular one.
I wonder if there's a
CIG
spot in
have
on
questions
server
for this at the moment as well.
that I need to
Some of
go.
the top questions I just wanted to put here. You can help formulate your own and ask your own. I'll also link the thread down below so you can chuck your questions in there. So the top voted questions currently are: what is the intended purpose for heavy fighters? Right now they have a turn rate very similar to ships like the Conning and Corsair, but they lack the shields and firepower of those. That's sort of a fair thing. I want heavy fighters to be pretty powerful in combat. However, heavy fighters sort of is an interesting range because it can mean long distance. It can mean they've got a sort of long
I need
operating
mid
range.
pins.
It can mean that they are heavy in armor and tankiness, or it can mean they're heavy in weaponry. Sometimes all of them, sometimes some of them. It's an interesting one, right? What happened to the new quantum travel experience from CitizenCon 2953? Will the AI ever start following the same turn rates, speed, and power as players? Are turret projectile velocity buffs up for consideration? When engineering fully comes online, how difficult will it be for capital ships to actually leave and enter atmosphere? PDCs, the point defense systems, they're a headache currently. They're being used incredibly effectively for offensive tasks, but they're supposed to be defensive, right? What's the long-term goal of PDCs? Will exploration and or science vehicles get additional resistance to environmental factors or better stability in weather?
What do you say about
How will
PDCs?
exploration ships focused on large-scale or long-distance point of interest searching be differentiated from scouting ships focused on finding other ships, mineral veins, or performing quick searches in an area using agile flight? So yeah, some really good questions there. I'm really interested to see what they're going to say about heavy fighters.
Wait, what do I?
And the quantum travel experience.
Yo, I thought I'd get like
and planning to update that with new visuals and stuff like that as well. So we'll see what CIG have to say about all
like
that.
some free alien
Pretty
ships.
soon. It's tomorrow. That's when that show is planning on being aired, I believe. Right, now, spoiler warnings. So, I want to talk about the Prowler, the new version of that that's rumoured to be coming out potentially tomorrow, or at least go on sale tomorrow, and some of the referral scheme, well, at least one of the referral scheme rewards that you might be able to get with the new one starting July 1st. We've got the Prowler utility. This appears to be what CIG have been hinting at and teasing over the last couple of weeks. A new Prowler variant for Alien Week, and there are a load of tweaks and rumours about this now too. I've even seen a couple of videos on YouTube and stuff about this with a load of footage there. So I typically treat things like this as if they're either carty, so I won't show footage and pictures, but I will talk about them as long as I don't think they're just totally out there rumours. Or even, I suppose, if they are totally out there rumours, I will still talk about them sometimes because I'll want to address them or go, well, I'll get involved with this conversation. And this one, not too far out there, because I've seen a load of footage on it, and it sort of makes sense to a degree. So you're not missing out on much at the moment, because I believe CIG are going to be revealing this properly tomorrow. But it appears to be a Prowler where the central section is basically empty and can now fully open up. I'm not sure if the internal sort of structure still has the air shields when it fully opens up or not. So yeah, if the rumours are to be believed, it's a Prowler utility, a cargo and logistics version of the Prowler with a tractor beam and easily accessible hold for dropping off supplies and other bits into a war zone, but with a solid set of weaponry supporting that. We'll have to see how useful this is in the future. Can it deploy any vehicles easily? That sort of stuff as well. I'm expecting this to be sold at Alien Week and flyable in 4.2, assumedly the week after. The Prowler's, the internal cargo area is not going to be that big, is the thing. So if you are like trying to deploy vehicles, it would only be bikes or whatever. It's an interesting one, and I'm interested to know what you think in the comments below. Also, the new referral scheme, so there's sort of referral ladder where if someone uses your referral code, you get a prospect point, and if they buy some stuff, then you get them transferring over to recruit, and recruits mean prizes. So yeah, we're getting a new referral scheme, sort of updated referrals and tweaks to that sort of ladder starting July 1st. And CIG have basically said that there's going to be more interesting and relevant rewards, especially at the lower end, assumedly under the 100 recruits sort of levels. Some of these will be connected to Squadron 42, but everyone's going to start at the bottom of that ladder again, and you can sort of work your way up, although anyone that was like a prospect that hasn't become a recruit yet, if they become a recruit, if they buy some stuff, they will count on the new ladder. And another thing worth noting is that if you have a recruit on the old system, if you have climbed at least one rung on the ladder on the old system, you are going to be able to progress on both ladders come July 1st, simultaneously as well. So yeah, if you can plan to get a recruit before then, great. I wouldn't worry too much about it if you can't. It's just a nice extra thing, right? If you are occasionally going to be getting recruits and referrals and that sort of stuff to be able to effectively get more rather than less. But one of the sort of ships that has been rumoured and leaked for the new referral scheme is a Squadron 42 styled Gladius with military components. This is really cool as well because, yeah, some Squadron 42 skins, stuff that's related to Squadron 42 and go, oh yeah, that's cool. And something with military components that's worth flying around and using but isn't, or probably isn't broken or overpowered. Yeah, that sounds great to me. I wonder if you'll be able to switch the components around or if they're going to sort of be bound or locked to the ship in some way. And I think we can expect a load more stuff like this. And if there's something cool,
I mean, the Gladius was already at level 10. You're level 10
as well. That
reward.
Very cool. There's a load of cool Squadron 42-esque things and military things and UEE things that CIG can have on a referrals scheme that will make people pretty keen to get involved with it. Boom! That's it for your updates and spoilers today. I'm very interested to know what you think. Are you interested in a Prowler utility? Yes? No? Meh? Maybe? Is there something else you wanted to get your hands on? I know the Ryland's pretty sort of popular as that sort of hybrid cargo medium-sized sort of ship. Very much in concept though, still I don't think it's in production at the moment. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please tell me what your experiences of Alpha 4.2 and 4.1.1 are in the comments below, sort of on the live servers now, on the PTU servers now. I'm super interested in what you think about that. And are you expecting 4.2 to go live next week like CIG have suggested, or somehow turn up magically before then? What's that? You want to get yourself some NordVPN? Go to nordvpn.com/boardgamer.
No, I'm good.
Below. NordVPN. Thank you so much for
Welcome back to another video, everybody. We have a lot to discuss in this one here to prepare
when you talking about Tesla, man,
week, which is shaping up to be yet another very eventful week in the markets. Again, we have those Middle East tensions rising due in educational course. So again, every $10 here is at the end. For those of you
probably closer to the
a
end.
little bit of an update here on this Tesla setup that I've been walking you guys through over the last couple of days here when we're looking at this bounce and period of consolidation here that we've seen after that spat between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Now, for those of you guys in Less Trades More Profits with me, you guys already know what we're looking at here. This is a very, very solid short-term bullish setup here. And even though I was saying in a couple of those videos towards the end of last week,
I'm long-term bullish, boys. Long-term bullish.
Having this nice period of consolidation in here again today does set us up for some continued bullish action here. Again, granted, the market is going to need to hold on. We can't see any craziness happen, but this is a very strong setup coming into Tesla in the near future here. Now, again, we did receive some additional news today, some insights from Bloomberg. Bloomberg says
My
Tesla
glasses are
much
crooked,
closer
bro.
to full autonomy than Google's Waymo. Tesla has logged 3 billion autonomous miles versus Waymo's 22 million. Only Tesla has full car manufacturing capability, and Tesla projects a 35,000 vehicle fleet by 2026 versus Waymo's 2.
We'll get a bowl of cereal.
Again, for the medium to long term on Tesla, they are going to need to solve the issues that they're currently having with their deliveries, especially in
All right, let's see what else video we can watch while we wait. Eat this cereal. Oh, what is this? Oh. I don't know if I've seen this.
The Perseus-class gunship is an upcoming subcapital ship in Star Citizen, a beefy combat platform. The concept is pretty neat. Take a multi-crew ship, strap some armor to it, and then bolt on a couple of big gun turrets for good measure. What you're left with is something that, in theory, should be a big threat to medium to large ships, and even something for capital ships to take notice of. I'm Farrister, and welcome to the Dry Dock, a new series which will delve deeper into the ships of Star Citizen. This video will explore the background behind the Perseus, both in and out of game, then take a look at some of the attributes and statistics of the ship, before considering how that might all translate into gameplay. There are timestamps in the video description, although if you're a fan of the Perseus, you might prefer to watch this one all the way through. And whilst this channel usually focuses on what's currently in-game, necessarily this video will navigate the treacherous space that is speculation territory. Whilst every effort has been made to approach this video accurately, sometimes information is sparse, and much is subject to change as time goes along, so please treat the content with a pinch of salt, and not as a definitive promise as to what will happen. All of that said, let's dive into the background of the Perseus. The Perseus was first unveiled at the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo in November 2020 to sit in the 100-meter ship range, but contrasting to the Hammerhead and Polaris by providing firepower in the form of large caliber gun turrets. The Perseus is designed and manufactured by Roberts Space Industries, so that RSI triangular style is highly visible. There's been very little information following the initial flurry of information, so it remains to be seen how long the ship will remain in development, although it seems that the Polaris may well be a precursor in the development timeline. In game lore, the Perseus is a complete modern refresh of an old design. The original Perseus gunship was first developed in 2528, making it well over 400 years old at this point. The old design was immediately thrown into frontline use, for example at the incident at Red Ridge in 2529, and across the Peri line after first contact with the Xi'an in 2530. Production of that Perseus finished in 2863, but remained in service with the UEE Navy. During Operation Mandrake at the Battle of Oberon, Admiral Bishop is said to have personally witnessed an aging Perseus holding its own against the Vanduul forces, resulting in a request to modernize the Perseus with a view to putting it back into production again. This redesigned version arrived in 2950, including for civilian use through the Militia Mobilization Initiative. In what has quickly become a mainstay for this section of these videos, Paul over at the Astro Historian has a fantastic lore video available for those who are interested in finding out more about the art of war and specifically the history of the Perseus class. On launch in 2020, the Perseus was offered for sale for $675 or $600 of new money, and this price has persisted since. The Perseus has only subsequently been offered for sale to coincide with specific events. The stated purpose for the Perseus is as a gunship, supposedly relatively well armoured and defended, and equipped with weaponry to deal with medium to large sized targets. The design inspiration seems to have been to consider the old ironclad ships that bridge the gap between the Age of Sail and the birth of the battleship/dreadnought. The RSI website does list the Perseus as a frigate, although that seems a little misleading. It seems more likely that the Perseus will arrive almost as a sister ship to the Hammerhead, and at a similar size too. Whereas the Hammerhead is supposed to excel at destroying smaller fighters, the Perseus would be bigger firepower for bigger targets, including hammerhead-sized enemies. Accordingly, the primary design purpose seems to be as a screen to aid in fleet defense. Based on current information, the Perseus would have a total length of around 100 meters, a total width or beam of around 50 meters, and a total height or depth of 21 meters. Given these sizes are very neatly rounded, it's quite possible that the dimensions are going to change a little. For context, a hammerhead is about 120 meters long, so that sort of size seems to be where the Perseus is likely to end up. The mass of the Perseus is yet to be determined. By way of components, the Perseus is expected to house a medium radar as well as 2 medium-sized computers. Power is expected to be provided by 2 large power plants, with cooling provided by 2 large coolers. Defensively, the Perseus would carry 2 large shield generators, and all of those components would be on a par with a hammerhead. The Perseus specifications list 2 fuel intakes with size yet to be determined, 2 large hydrogen fuel tanks, and a large quantum fuel tank. Both the quantum drive and jump drive are also set to be large size. In terms of propulsion, the technical overview lists 2 main thrusters and 2 VTOL thrusters, with 12 fixed maneuvering thrusters located around the ship, providing rotation and translation support. The primary armament of the Perseus is set to be 2 size 7 manned turrets, each armed with 2 size 7 weapons. That's 4 size 7 weapons, equivalent to the firepower of 4 Ares starfighters, all focused on a target. The weapons seem to be optimized against similar sized targets to the Perseus, meaning that medium to large ships that are unable to dodge that fire might need to be worried. Located around the overview lists 2 main thrusters and 2 VTOL thrusters, with 12 fixed maneuvering thrusters located around the ship, providing rotation and translation support. The primary armament of the Perseus is set to be 2 size 7 manned turrets, each armed with 2 size 7 weapons. That's 4 size 7 weapons, equivalent to the firepower of 4 Ares starfighters, all focused on a target. The weapons seem to be optimized against similar sized targets to the Perseus, meaning that medium to large ships that are unable to dodge that fire might need to be worried. The Perseus is also set to carry 2 remote turrets armed with 2 size 3 weapons, defaulting to size 3 ballistic Gatling guns to deal with smaller targets. That said, the Q&A does note that whilst the 2 turrets help to defend the Perseus, it may be somewhat vulnerable to being swarmed by large numbers of fighters and bombers. The Perseus also carries 2 missile racks armed with size 5 torpedoes, which are the same size launched by the Gladiator. This seems to also be tailored towards engaging medium to large targets. The total payload across both racks is 20 missiles. The crew specifications for the Perseus note both a maximum and minimum crew of 6, although this might be one of those ships where the requirement is lower. To start with, the Q&A notes that the pilot controls the torpedo armament. The same Q&A also notes that the remote turrets come equipped with blades, so can be automated by default, which leaves 2 manned size 7 turrets, which do need to be manned, but potentially by NPC crew. So, between a pilot, 2 turret gunners, and maybe a support player for engineering repairs, the true crew requirement might end up being 3 or 4. The Perseus is not as large as some of the capital ships, and so the amenities are more befitting a ship at this size point. There's a habitation section with a mess hall, crew quarters, and a captain's quarters, as well as a docking collar on the lower deck. There's a cargo bay with 50 SCU of storage, as well as an elevator which can deploy to allow ground vehicles around the size of an Ursa rover to hop aboard, albeit at the cost of sacrificing some of that cargo storage. With relatively heavy turrets, and supposedly fairly chunky armour on the hull, the obvious use case for the Perseus is to specifically target medium to large size ships. Caterpillars, Hercules, Hammerheads, all should take note of that big armament, the equivalent to 4 Ares in the size of the weaponry. That lends itself well to patrol use, floating around to deal with such targets, or potentially for nefarious characters for use in piracy operations, although the 50 SCU cargo bay might be a limiting factor in that regard. Whilst the Perseus may well excel at taking on larger ships, it's noted in the Q&A that smaller fighters and bombers pose a greater challenge. The dual size 3 turrets are clearly a defensive factor against such a threat, but only insofar as they're able to get on target and stay on target. Given the slower speeds of the able well, the Hercules, Hammerheads, all should take note of that big armament, the equivalent to 4 Ares in the size of the weaponry. That lends itself well to patrol use, floating around to deal with such targets, or potentially for nefarious characters for use in piracy operations, although the 50 SCU cargo bay might be a limiting factor in that regard. Whilst the Perseus may well excel at taking on larger ships, it's noted in the Q&A that smaller fighters and bombers pose a greater challenge. The dual size 3 turrets are clearly a defensive factor against such a threat, but only insofar as they're able to get on target and stay on target. Given the slower speeds of the Perseus, that could create a threat of blind spots and the like. That might, however, make the Perseus a great partner for a Hammerhead or a small fighter squadron, with the latter covering the threat of smaller ships, leaving the Perseus to clean house on the meatier targets. The Q&A also notes that the natural role for the Perseus sits in fleet defense, bolstering the firepower of a combat fleet whilst benefiting from the fleet amenities, such as medical facilities. The other obvious use case is for a small group of players who want to have a big impact. The relatively modest multi-crew requirement makes the Perseus a fairly big ship that could be crewed by a fairly small crew, so for combat enthusiasts that might be an interesting choice. And the fleet defense element is likely to be the natural fleet role for the Perseus. Remember, this is a ship that's much smaller than other capital ships, and without the full suite of services available aboard. The Perseus is built around dishing out damage and doing so against less maneuverable targets. For fleets where the Perseus is amongst the bigger craft, that will give it more of a tank-like role, soaking up some damage into shields and heavy armour to allow lighter combatants to operate. And for capital fleets, that leaves the Perseus in a position to use the relatively large cannons to blast away at enemy screens, or even potentially to harass some of the capital ships with the heavy weaponry aboard. To be clear, I don't expect a Perseus to be soloing a fully crewed capital ship, most of which are far too well armed and defended to lose out in such a scenario. But in a chaotic battle in which the Perseus is not the focus of enemy fire, the cannons may well be large enough to sneak some damage in below the radar, so to speak. Regardless, the Perseus could be a very interesting combat platform when it finally hits the verse, especially so because, other than turret automation which might follow later, much of the combat functionality is already in existence at time of recording. But at the risk of going on for too long, we'll draw a line under the Perseus here. As this is still a new series for the channel, your thoughts on either the dry dock format or the Perseus will be very welcome in the comments section. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, you might like to do that too, so you can get the heads up for new videos on the channel, as well as firing size 7 cannons at the like button if you like heavily narrated slideshows talking about naval hardware. Otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.
All right, boys. Well, that was the... Apparently we got some more Perseus breakdown here. 2 months ago. Ooh.
gunboat. That's what fans and even the developers call one of the most anticipated ships in the Star Citizen verse. Recently hinted at again and somewhat announced for a 2025 release during last year's CitizenCon 2954, the RSI Perseus is said to be one of the most unmissable ships in the Persistent universe.
Yes, sir.
It sits right between heavy fighters, the Hammerhead and the Polaris. And truth be told, there is no other ship quite like it in that category. The Hammerhead comes close. It's also a fan favorite, but it's nowhere near as commonly seen in the verse as the RSI Polaris. The Polaris is one of my favorites. It's not a solo ship, but it shines in multiplayer combat both in space and on the ground. And it even works for exploration adventures. It offers a lot of flexibility to support different playstyles, at least in my opinion. The Perseus will cater to a variety of combat players, especially smaller teams. It supports up to 6 players and comes equipped with 2 manned turrets and 2 auto remote turrets. Quick disclaimer, these stats are based on the 2020 concept reveal. Things could change over the next few weeks and months as the team at Cloud Imperium Games puts the final touches on the ship. But let's dive a little deeper into the concept phase of the RSI Perseus. We'll start with the design briefing, but before we do, make sure to like and subscribe at the end of this video if you enjoy what you've seen. I am Jack Long and this is Jack Space Games. The RSI Perseus isn't just another warship, it's a gunboat, and that distinction makes all the difference. Back in 2020, Cloud Imperium Games set out to design a heavy point defense ship capable of taking on large and sub-capital ships in a fleet defense. Unlike the Hammerhead, which specializes in anti-fighter screening, the Perseus is built to counter bigger threats. It's a ship that doesn't need overwhelming firepower in numbers. Its massive turrets and focused firepower do the talking. At 100 meters long, 50 meters wide and standing 20 meters tall, the Perseus is a mid-sized powerhouse. Its 2 man turrets, each armed with twin-size 7 weapons, are designed to punch holes in enemy hulls. Supporting them are 2 auto-remote turrets loaded with twin-size 3 ballistic Gatlings, perfect for laying down suppressive fire. And just in case things get serious, the ship carries 2 size 5 torpedo launchers, each stocked with 10 torpedoes, ready to end a fight quickly. But it's not just about firepower. The Perseus features 2 main engines, VTOL thrusters for maneuverability and a large Quantum drive to keep up with fleet movements. It supports a crew of 6, making it ideal for small tactical groups looking to make a serious impact on the battlefield. Chris Roberts and a design team wanted something different. Not another destroyer, not another torpedo boat. Instead, they looked at the history. Back in the American Civil War, ironclad gunboats changed naval warfare forever. Small, heavily armored...
Yeah, I don't want the gallon, bro.
Devastating guns. The RSI Perseus takes the same philosophy and brings it to the Star Citizen universe. Designed by John Crew and Adam Parker, with concept art from Gavin Rothery, the Perseus was envisioned as a fleet defender, protecting UAE battlegrounds from larger threats. It often works alongside the Hammerhead, covering anti-fighter duties, while the Perseus locks onto bigger targets. And the name? Perseus, the Greek hero and demigod, wasn't chosen until late in the development. Until then, it was simply known as the RSI gunboat. But let's be real. The gunboat has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? When a design brief for the RSI Perseus was complete, the next challenge was bringing the gunboat to life, visually. That responsibility fell to art director Paul Jones, who had to translate the team's vision into a ship that looked powerful, aggressive, and distinct, without just making it a baby Polaris. Jones set 3 key goals. Number 1, avoiding making it look like a smaller Polaris. Number 2, give it an aggressive, threatening silhouette. And number 3, make sure it had a cool factor with deployable or unique elements. To get the ball rolling, Jones turned to Gavin Rothery, one of the most experienced concept artists in the Star Citizen lineup. If you're familiar with ships like the Aegis Gladius, Miss Prospector, Asperia Prowler, or Aegis Terrapin, then you've already seen Rothery's work. Now it was time to add an RSI warship to his portfolio. Because it had been a while since Cloud Imperium had worked on an RSI capital ship, they looked back at the company's design evolution. Jones referenced everything from the modern RSI Mantis to Ryan Church's 2012 Bengal carrier concept. The goal was to ensure that the Perseus felt like a natural part of the RSI's ship lineage, while standing out as a fresh new design. With a tight deadline, only 3 months to deliver a concept ready for IE 2950, the team had to work efficiently. Jones sketched out several exploratory silhouettes, describing them as looking like the Mantis on steroids. From there, Rothery created 4 rough 3D models, each offering a distinct direction. A1, a triangular, arrowhead-shaped design similar to the Polaris. B2, a more ripped, detailed design based on Jones' sketches. C1, a ship with large engine nacelles, somewhat reminiscent of the Constellation. D1, a ship with split lines and a ripped hull, giving it a layered structure. After reviewing these concepts, Chris Roberts gave his feedback. The Perseus needed less interior space. It had to feature more distinct external guns. After all, this was a gunboat. Rothery responded with 2 more concepts, E1 and F1, which added ringed drive arrays and split hull designs. However, these ended up looking more like explorers than warships, so they were set aside for possible future ships. Going back to the drawing board, Jones and Rothery adjusted the original 4 concepts, adding more visible turrets, bigger, heavier guns, and a more aggressive shape. From these revised concepts, B2 stood out as the strongest contender. Jones took the model and merged it with his original sketches, further refining the look. At this stage, it was all about the rule of cool. Some elements had no purpose yet, but the ship needed to feel intimidating and powerful. Once again, the design went to Chris Roberts for final feedback. He liked the direction of B2 but wanted an elevated bridge for better visibility, a chin turret for additional firepower, and even bigger guns.
That was more fair.
Most interestingly, Roberts introduced a new reference: Civil War ironclad gunboats. These were small, heavily armored warships with massive cannons, and that historical influence would help shape the Perseus into the floating artillery platform we know today. With this in mind, the team iterated further, creating options H and J, which leaned heavily into the ironclad aesthetic. However, it was option K, featuring a refined silhouette, chunkier turrets, and an elevated bridge. That hit the sweet spot. By the time the K3 version was completed, the team had locked into the final direction of the Perseus. Chris Roberts gave the green light with just a few last-minute requests. First, remove the side prongs. And second, make the ship's weapons fully integrated rather than modular turrets. And with that, concept phase 1 was complete. The Perseus had transformed from an idea into a fully realized RSI warship, ready for the next phase of development. With the exterior locked in, it was time to figure out the interior, a crucial step that would determine how players experience the ship from the inside. The first challenge: no detailed room list was included in the original design brief. That meant Paul Jones and the team had to decide what rooms were needed, where cargo would be loaded, and how players would move.
That's a different guy.
The first interior layout was built around a large buggy ramp,
Papa
which
Whiskey
made
Delta
sense from the outside, but inside, it threw off the entire flow of the ship. Jones wasn't happy. Turrets needed to be accessible, the bridge had to be easy to reach, and the entire layout needed to feel intuitive. To fix this, Jones and Gavin Rothery reworked the internal structure, creating color-coded 3D models to experiment with different layouts. They adjusted the cargo lift, rearranged missing rooms, and tried to streamline movement. But something still felt off. There wasn't a single obvious problem, but the flow still wasn't right. The interior would need further refinement, a process that would continue into the next development phase. With the first concept phase
Yo, the stream is so bad. What? What the fuck? God, why is it so easy? Jesus Christ. More is joining. Oh my god, I can't hit this guy. Oh my god, bro. The bots on Kick are crazy. I'm not out of the area. Dude, this guy's out of the area, and he's the NPC.
crazy. It looks like that. Oh, I don't. Okay, I want to go down. I remember. Well, where?
Complete, it was time to bring the Perseus one step closer to reality. That meant refining both the exterior and interior while making sure the ship's design would actually work in-game. The first pass review was a major milestone. Paul Jones and Gavin Rothery presented their work to multiple teams, not just for approval, but as a gut check. The goal? Make sure the ship's design wouldn't create problems down the road for the teams who would build it in-engine, animate its movements, and bring it
Hey, does Phillips have a backup tool and where I can ride shotgun? Damn, you look good. Oh, jeez. See, this won't hurt if I fall down. Good old whacker tree.